Guys, let's get started. I hope you guys are able to hear me.
Yes.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Sure, thanks. Let me share my screen. Okay. Can you guys see my screen?
Yep. Yes.
Okay. So let's get started, guys. I'm Rahul, and I'll be your instructor for the entire Selenium training. As far as my experience is concerned, I'm having over 14 years of experience in software testing itself. And out of that, I used to work as a test manager with one of the company in Gurgaon in India. So right now I'm completely into trainings. I am into corporate trainings as well. I've delivered many trainings in Delhi, NCR, Mumbai, Bangalore, even in New York to a company called Shutterstock.com, in Seattle to Spoken Communications. I'm into this automation industry for over 10 years, where I have worked on various automation tools like Selenium, QTP, UFT, and then various other related to mobile automation, API automation, and that is pretty much about my experience. So I hope like most of you are from testing background, especially manual testing. I know there are some freshers as well who have joined us today. So this is like today we have a mixed audience. There are people who are already enrolled and have completed the core Java sessions, and now they are about to start with their Selenium sessions. And there are many people who are attending today's session as a demo session. So these two, the day one and day two, that is going to be tomorrow. So these two sessions are common for everyone. So in these two sessions, we'll be covering the introductory part of Selenium. We're gonna cover the basic configuration. We're gonna see what all utilities that we can integrate with Selenium. So we'll be talking about all these stuff. And like before we get started with Selenium, it is important that we should know some programming language. And if I talk about the programming language part, it's only the basics of that programming is required. There is no advanced, let's say if I talk about Java, we don't need to learn advanced Java in order to work on Selenium. It's only the basic part, that is core Java, that is required. And that will be starting from scratch. People who have joined new will be moving to the core Java batch from next weekend. And people who have already completed their Java will be continuing in the same batch of Selenium WebDriver. Timings for both the batches of Java as well as Selenium right now, it's same. That is like 8 p.m. India time till 10 p.m. So in case any one of you who have joined new and already know Java, and if you directly want to start with Selenium, you can also do that thing. And since we'll be recording all the live sessions as well, so in case you want to go through the recording of the Java part and attend the live session of Selenium, you can do that thing as well. But in case if you're not in a hurry, then do it in a proper sequence. First, learn Java and then learn Selenium, right? So that is how the training will gonna go, and it is going to take at least 3 months to cover all the topics, including Java and including Selenium. So Java will be around 6-7 weeks, and then another 7 weeks for Selenium, right? So before we get started, do you guys have any questions, any doubts that you want to clarify? Anything related to the training or
Hello?
Yeah.
Hello? Yeah. Hello?
Yeah, Priya.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
सर एक्चुअली मुझे ना एक चीज पूछनी थी कि अभी ना मुझे जावा की बेसिक नॉलेज है, बिकॉज मैंने जावा पहले किया हुआ था, ठीक है, लेकिन मेरी जो कंपनी है ना वो सारे जो प्रोजेक्ट है वो मैनुअल में ही हैंडल करते हैं, तो ऑटोमेशन का मुझे ज्यादा इतना कुछ रिक्वायर्ड लगा नहीं था, मतलब प्रीवियसली नहीं लगा था, लेकिन अभी तो मैं करना चाह रही हूँ. तो इज दिस माइंडेड कि फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल आई हैव टू लर्न जावा एक्चुअली, then only I can move for Selenium?
In order to work on automation, it is mandatory that you need to learn Java. Without Java, I mean, Selenium is purely related to the programming part. but it's basic programming. So don't worry about the programming. We will be covering the Java that is required for Selenium from scratch. So you need not to
Okay.
enroll in a separate program to learn Java. Don't worry about that.
Okay.
Right?
Okay, sir.
Sure.
Okay. Thank you.
So
Any more
Rahul,
questions?
Hello,
Yeah.
Rahul.
Yeah.
Rahul wanted to understand what software shall we install to run the Java and Selenium.
It's only all open source softwares are required. There is no license softwares required. So what all prerequisite is, we will be doing that thing today itself, right? So in today's session, you should be able to see what all things that will be installing, and same thing you'll be doing it at your end on your machine.
Okay.
so Rahul, as you mentioned, Java
حبيبي
would
يقعد
start
يقعد.
from scratch, right? From
لا
next
نص
week. Right?
البرنامج انتظرني بس تعال
Guys,
شوي.
there's a background noise coming from someone's end. Please put
Hey,
yourself.
Rahul, can you hear me?
بس واحد له بس
Yeah.
انت شنو؟
Okay,
بس خلاص.
I guess Sina, there's a background noise coming from your end.
Oh, sorry, man.
Yeah, Rahul, what I was asking is, we are starting the demonstration session for Selenium today, but however, from next weekend, as you mentioned, Java from scratch would start, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So we will be doing a little bit of programming in these two sessions as well, but that will be a very basic level. In case you have never worked on, I hope like you guys have studied either C, C++ during your graduation long time. Is there anyone who have never touched any programming in his life? I'm not talking about you have practically implemented things, but I'm talking about you must have studied somewhere on YouTube or maybe during your graduation time. So everyone must have studied some programming in their life.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's great. Even if you have not studied, don't worry about it. Just take these two sessions as a very lightweight sessions, right? Just see what level of programming that is required. If you're not able to understand the basic programming part, don't worry about it. From next week, as I said, we'll be starting it from scratch. So just take these two sessions as a very lightweight. Just try to understand that like what all programming, what level of programming we need in order to work on Selenium, right? Okay. Any more questions? Yeah, Bharat, I can see you are raising your hand.
Yeah, hi Rahul.
Yeah, hi.
Yeah, as of now, as you said, the core Java and Selenium classes are conducting on the same time. So if I'll go with core Java session first, then will I get the important sessions of Selenium?
See, once you start with the Java part, once the Java is over, then the same batch is going to continue with the Selenium part.
Okay.
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 Hi, Rahul.
Yeah, hi.
Yeah, actually, I'm very new to software, but basically, I'm from science background. Now, I'm working as a manual tester. So I wanted to move for this automation. What would you suggest? I mean, should I take Java first and then Selenium followed by that, or can I continue with this automation?
Yeah, I mean, this automation that we are doing, we are starting with this batch consists of both Java and Selenium. So first we'll be teaching you Java, and then we'll be covering the Selenium part. And that Java part is going to start from next week.
सर वैसे कितने टाइम में ये कंप्लीट हो जाएगा, मतलब जावा विद ऑटोमेशन?
Around 3 months it will gonna take.
Both.
Yeah, Selenium with Java.
Okay.
All right. Any more questions before we get started?
So timing will be same.
Yeah, timing
to
will
10.
gonna remain same because
Okay.
there are many people who have joined us from US, Canada, UK, so as well. So these are the global timings for everyone. So we're gonna keep the timings for that same. All right. So about the course content and what all things that we are going to cover. So see, I believe most of you already know that we are running something called as this lifetime membership. So every one of you will be, if you have already enrolled or you will be enrolling, you'll be part of this lifetime membership club offer itself. So this is something which is very unique, because once you enroll for it, you can not only attend the Selenium Java batch, but there are other batches as well, the live trainings that we are running right now for DevOps, for Selenium Python. We are starting the manual testing batch as well, most probably next week. And this month as well, we are planning to start the JMeter performance testing. API testing is already running in the morning, 10 a.m. IST. So these are a couple of batches, which are the live batches that you can attend apart from attending the Selenium Java as well. And normally there is a different cost for each and every training, because if I talk about DevOps, this is a very most demanding training these days in the industry, even for developers, even for testers to know DevOps tools as well. And this training is for 2 months. Similarly, API testing is for 2 months. But once you enroll for this lifetime membership package, then you need not to pay again and again. All these trainings will be free for you for lifetime. Not just this, there's a complete video library. So these are somewhere around 20 plus automation courses related to mobile automation, API testing, Selenium, then Selenium Python, DevOps, APM mobile automation for Python, robot framework. There's Cypress, Serenity, all these latest automation tools and frameworks, Spring Boot framework. So all these things will be freely accessible for you for lifetime. And any course that we're going to add in future to this library will also be free for you. So this is one of the unique concept which you may not have heard about anywhere else in the industry. And there are 7 to 8 instructors who are actually taking different batches here. Every time a new batch is formed, we will be paying to the instructor, but you will be joining all future courses, all future batches for free. Even if you want to repeat any session after 1 year or 2 year, you need not to pay anything. Once you become a lifetime membership member, then you will gonna get all these benefits from the complete end-to-end training. So this is what the lifetime membership packages that
Rahul, where is JMeter training?
JMeter is over
No,
here.
I'm talking about the lectures where I can
The
find
video
it.
library is
Are you searching or I am not able to hear you?
Yeah. No one is able to hear Rahul.
sorry guys, got disconnected.
Yeah.
Can you guys hear me?
Okay. Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, then. So I was talking about the JMeter. This is the complete JMeter like recordings from the previous batches as well that you can go through. And we will be starting a new batch of JMeter soon. So with this membership, you can attend.
Can you go from the scratch, please?
Okay, sure. Just a minute. Let me put it here.
Okay.
Yeah. So we have around 10 sessions in JMeter batch. Right, so all these are around 2-hour sessions. All right, so you can take a look at this URL. You just need to navigate to Selenium, www.selenium-tutorial.com.
I have one question. If
Yeah,
I've already paid for membership, so I can access this JMeter course?
you can access all the
That's
courses
fine.
that you see on the website.
Okay, because it is showing me cost after like
May I know when you have enrolled?
today only.
Okay, today itself. So you will be receiving the account details on your mail ID soon.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so this is about what all things and benefits you'll be getting. So now let's get started with our Selenium training. So before we start, the very first thing in Selenium comes as what exactly?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Actually, I want to know that whether Selenium with Java is more demanding or Selenium with Python is more demanding. Like,
See, 60 to 70% of the industry is using Selenium with Java. Python is also important, but you can take it as an added language. Once you know Selenium with Java, migrating to Python will be like just 15 days. You need to invest more and you should be able to migrate your code in Python as well, because Python is very easy to run. But if you talk about the job point of view, then majorly openings, you're gonna get it for Selenium Java, and the next language is Python. And then after Python, it's C#.
okay, thank you. And so actually, I was going through the live session for API testing, API automation. So in that, I was not able to find the latest videos.
The latest videos are posted here.
Like I just want to know that it is in the chronicle order or it is like a random.
Yeah, let me tell you, the batches, if you click on this, you'll find it over here. So this is the batch. So today we did a day 6, so it will be added over here after the day 5.
Okay, thanks, sir.
Okay. Any more questions, guys?
अरे क्वेश्चन था।
हाँ
सर मैं ये बोलना चाहते कि अभी जैसे हम ये कोर्सेज कर रहे हैं, ठीक है, तो आपके साइड से कोई प्लेसमेंट वगैरह भी होता है क्या? मतलब काफी सारे इंस्टीट्यूट में ऐसा होता है कि वो
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a placement assistance program as well. There are many HRs who directly get in touch with us for the openings. We have formed up a lot of WhatsApp groups. So we generally forward these openings in the WhatsApp groups, even in the Google group, the lifetime membership group. So we generally forward these openings. We're going to help you with the interview questions, resumes. So all these things should be there. But the training that we're going to do right now for Selenium, for 3 months, if you successfully go through this training, you should be able to justify your existing manual testing experience for 2-3 years easily in automation.
No, I have experience in manual. Manual में तो मुझे experience है, लेकिन automation में नहीं है.
Don't worry, you should be able to justify your current manual experience in automation completely. At least for 2 years.
Manual में ही working कर रही हूँ. हाँ जी sir.
Yeah, don't worry.
Okay, thank you.
Sir, actually, there was one doubt I always have because as I'm also having manual experience and I want to move in automation, but they always ask for some experience in automation. So I say so that I am having 1 year of experience. But the problem it comes when I'm giving interview is like they ask very in-depth Java codings. Like I have recently completed.
Core Java is something which you should be knowing in depth only. Because it's not like if you know basic if else loops and basic loops concept, then you're done with Java. You should be knowing like in-depth concepts, all the collections part, all these things should be very much clear to you.
But sir, what was covered in the classes in the Java session? I have already covered that, and I even realized it.
Yes, you need to add your additional effort as well, because see, Java is quite huge. So
Yes.
in just, you can say 7 weeks, everything cannot be covered. But
Yeah.
whatever that we need to start with Selenium, that
Mhm.
is what the basics that is required is covered in 7 weeks. But if you talk about only the core Java part, if you learn it for 3 months as well, then 3 months are also not more than sufficient, right? There is so much in Java. But yes, in these 7 weeks, you actually get yourself started, right? You know all the basic concepts, you know how to handle things, you how to write programs, how to build up logics, the basics. So once these things are clear, then you have like the entire Google in front of you. Just search for different programs, go to different websites, try to solve those programs, try to build up your concepts. And the more and more you practice, things will gonna get clear to you. And in case you get stuck anywhere, then you can reach back to me or reach back to the Java instructor, then he's gonna help you accordingly.
Yeah, sir, actually I do so. So actually that is what my concern was. It was not related to the classes. I'm saying whatever classes I have attended and it is completed only. So I thought this will be sufficient and going around this classes will be sufficient for the interview, but actually it is not. And kind of I'm little confused that how much we have to cover, and because
There is no limit.
yeah,
There
they
is no
do not
limit in
directly
Java.
ask. They do not directly ask the automation questions. They first take one whole interview round for just querying about the Java and very in-depth Java thing. So I like, for me, maybe I'm starting, so that is why I'm facing this issue very.
Absolutely. See, Sujit, the thing is that the competition has grown so much, right? Now, Selenium is something like which every second or third person in a testing industry, he knows Selenium, right? It's not a new automation tool, right? It's been in the market from a long time. So most of the people know Selenium. So that's the reason when you are actually facing interview of Selenium, 90% of the time it happens that they might not gonna ask you any questions around the Selenium part, because Selenium working on Selenium is very easy, right? Once we get started with Selenium, once you know the basic programming part, you can realize that thing that yes, like finding an element on a web page and clicking on it, typing on it, this is a very basic stuff, very easy stuff. So most of the people, they know it. So that's the reason they focus more on the programming part, more on the logic building part, because if a person is good in the programming part, he can easily work on Selenium. He can easily work with the framework designing team and can build up utilities in the framework. So that's the reason they focus more on the programming part. And programming is nothing that like can come in a day or two or in a week. It comes with practice only. The more and more you keep on practicing, the more and more your logics will start building up. And the best thing is that if you are only learning Java, you will find it little boring. But if you combine it with Selenium, with the automation part, then you'll find it very interesting. Because when you're writing 3-4 lines of code and you're seeing that the things are running, the websites are launching, and actions are performing on like in front of you, you'll find it very interesting. So you keep on automating things, you'll find you get stuck somewhere, you'll try to come out of that by adding the logic, if else, loops, other things. So this is how it is actually gonna help you in building up your basic concepts. So the more and more you practice, the more and more these things you'll be familiar with.
Thank you, sir.
And Rahul, if I'm not wrong, we are going to have the live project experience here, right?
Yes,
As
we'll
part
be
of the
designing
training. So we can explore
complete
things there.
framework from scratch.
Yeah.
We'll be designing complete framework from scratch. Not only this, there's a very unique course that I've created, so which is called as Automation Architect 7 Live Projects. So after going through these live sessions, this is something additional that you need to work on, which is going to cover 7 different projects. So 7 different frameworks designed from the scratch level on different websites. So all these popular frameworks you must have heard about, like page objects, page factories, data driven, Cucumber PDD, right? So these are some of the things. This is one of the most important framework which covers your Java generics, multi-threading, and a lot of DevOps tools are also integrated CI, CD, Dockers. So a lot of things are covered. So these, if you thoroughly go through these 7 live projects, you should be able to crack the interviews easily, because most of the Java part is already covered here. Right? Okay. Any more questions before we start? So we can take up these questions at the end of the session as well, right? Let us just start with the Selenium part and see the basic configuration. So, okay, before we get started, what is Selenium? Anything and everything that you know about Selenium, just let me know. Anything that you have read or you have practiced or worked on it, anything that you know, just let me know.
It is a library.
It is an automation tool used to write the scripts and execute test cases.
It's a suite
automation
of
testing
Free source tool.
It's an open source.
It's a library.
Tool library for what?
For automation, for automating the website.
Automating the web-based applications only.
Yes.
Only for website automation, right? Selenium can only automate UI part, the website part.
It's an API.
It's an API. Okay. So it's an API, it's a library, it's a testing tool, it's a project, it's
Can we just say this is a suite of tools?
It's a suite of tools, right? So all these things are true for Selenium, right? But the other thing that is true is it automates only the websites, only the UI part. But as a manual tester as well, we only not test websites, we test other applications as well, right? There are other applications as well in the industry apart from web-based. What all other applications are there?
Mobile application.
Mobile-based applications.
Desktop applications.
Database.
Desktop applications, database applications. Anything else that you may have tested apart from these?
Web services, APIs.
Very true. Web services, APIs, like SOAP, like REST, right? Anything else apart from this? So these are the major areas, right? We can test websites, we can test mobile applications, because these days, majorly web-based applications, they have their mobile applications as well. They have their, like at times, desktop applications, but now these days, desktop are not very popular because most of the companies are cloud-based, right? So they prefer building up a web app instead of creating a desktop app, installing it, and then working on it, right? So database is again very important, be it a web application, mobile application, desktop. Database is used in all these applications. And then another major area is web services, right? What web services are, most of you might be knowing. If you don't know, we'll be discussing about this as well. But these are the major areas where we generally perform manual testing, and then we do automation of these areas as well. Right, and we know that for web-based, there is a tool which is very popular, which is Selenium. Right, there are other tools as well apart from Selenium. What other tools you have heard about? For web-based?
QTP.
QTP, biggest competitor of Selenium, QTP, UFT. But still, the market of Selenium is more as compared to QTP, UFT. There was a time that QTP market was like anything. Every next manual testing or automation testing job has QTP, UFT in it. But these days, you will hardly find openings related to QTP, UFT. Companies are actually moving to Selenium. But what is the reason behind that?
Because it's free.
Because
It's free.
Selenium is open source, QTP is not.
It's
QTP is
fast
not.
and
QTP
automatic
is a
execution.
absolutely. See, Selenium
Multiple
is it supports multiple languages. Okay. So see, Selenium is completely open source, means there is no license required to work on Selenium. Whereas QTP single user license cost is quite huge, somewhere around 2000 USD or more. And if a company is going for a concurrent license of 50 users, it will going to cost a huge amount. Whereas Selenium is completely free, no license required, right? Anyone can download and start working on Selenium. The only thing with QTP Selenium, the only major difference is QTP can automate your desktop applications as well, whereas Selenium can automate only web-based applications. And as I said, these days, majorly applications you'll find are web-based because it's a time of cloud computing. So everything is on web. So that's the reason majorly Selenium is in use, right? So apart from this, have you heard any automation tool for mobile-based?
For web-based, Tosca is also picking up, Ralph.
APM.
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 APM. See, most of you know APM, right? So APM is something which is not a separate tool. It's not something which is invented from scratch. APM is a wrapper over your Selenium WebDriver itself. APM is actually Selenium, right? So what APM is, how we're going to work on APM, we're going to see some examples of APM mobile automation as well in this course, in the Selenium course itself. Last session, we're going to keep it where I'm going to show you how you can connect your real device. You can write some code and it will going to run on your mobile device, and we're going to make a phone call, or you can automate WhatsApp, Facebook, what all applications you have, internal applications you can automate it using APM. And again, APM is another open source library, no license required to work on APM as well. For database, there are different tools. You may have heard about SQL, MySQL, Oracle, Big Data, Hadoop, right? And number of tools for database as well. For web services, have you heard about any tool that can test web services?
Rest assured or Cucumber.
Postman.
Postman.
SOAP
Rest
UI.
assured. SOAP UI. SOAP UI is like it is a popular tool, but these days majorly companies are using Rest Assured because see, manual testing can be done using Postman, can be done using SOAP UI. We can write some scripting in SOAP UI as well. But Rest Assured is a completely open source library, and it is used for automation of these web services, right? So Selenium is for automation of web-based, APM is automation of mobile-based. For desktop, we have QTP, then there are other open source library as well. There's something called as WinAppDriver, right? WinAppDriver is again originated from APM and Selenium itself. Then for database, we have these vendors. They provide their own APIs or own libraries through which we can build up a Java connection. We can automate the database fetching queries and validating results as well using those APIs. So this part can also be automated, and then web services can also be automated. But all this is not a task of Selenium. Selenium task is only for web-based. Selenium is only for web-based testing. Then why Selenium is like a prerequisite? If you talk about any opening these days, even if you're searching for an opening in manual testing, you'll find that Selenium is like a prerequisite. Every company will ask you whether you know Selenium or not. Why not the other automation tools? Why Selenium is very popular? Selenium is a base for any automation tool that will be learning in future, right? In case we are moving into automation, the first thing that we should start with or that comes in our mind is Selenium. Because if you know Selenium, your base will gonna build up, and rest other things, you should be able to learn it very easily and very quickly, right? So we're gonna see all these things, and after these two sessions, it will be very much clear to you what exactly Selenium is and how we'll be working on Selenium, what all things will be integrated. But before that, let me know if anything else that you have heard about Selenium. Anything, what it supports, what all it features, what all it components, anything. So Suvarna says it supports all languages. So Selenium has got a multi-language support. So what all language it supports? It supports Java, it supports C#,
Python, C#.
Python, it supports Ruby, it supports PHP, it supports JavaScript. All these major languages are supported by Selenium. Anything else? Multi-browser.
Browser, yeah.
So multi-browser support. All major browsers, IE, Firefox, Chrome, Safari, Edge, and Opera. All major browsers are supported. Anything else apart from this?
Operating system,
Multiple operating system, as in multiple platform. So what all platform? It works on Windows, it works on Linux, it works on Mac, works on Solaris, it works on iOS, it works on Android. All major operating systems are supported by Selenium. If I talk about QTP, which is supposed to be our biggest competitor of Selenium, which language QTP supports?
Java,
VB.
C#.
VB script.
VB script.
.NET.
VB.
So VB script is what is supported by QTP, right? And if we talk about VB script runs on which operating system?
Windows.
Only and only Windows. So it means if you are working on QTP, you are restricted to execute your automation code only and only on Windows. Be it a desktop application, be it a web application, you can only automate it on Windows. But these days, if we talk about our client could use any operating system. Client could use any browser, right? He could use Mac, he could use Linux. And what client wants that his product should be functioning fine in all major operating system, in all major browsers, because the end user could use anything. And if you are working on QTP, we can only test it on Windows. So this is one of the biggest drawbacks. Whereas if we talk about Selenium, we have just seen Selenium support multiple languages. If we talk about Java, Java is one of the open source language. And if you install Java, the very first message you're going to see is 3 billion devices runs on Java. So be it Linux, be it Mac, Android, iOS, Solaris, any operating system you name is supported by Java. And if you're running your Selenium code in Java, you can execute that code in any operating system without paying any license. So this is something very good about Selenium, that you can write your code in any language, you can run it on any operating system, you can launch your website on any browser you want. And you need not to pay any license for it, right? What else? How many components are there in Selenium?
4.
What are those?
Selenium RC,
Selenium RC,
WebDriver,
WebDriver,
IDE.
Grid.
That's true. So initially it was 4 versions, right? IDE, RC is called as remote control. Then we have WebDriver, then we have Grid. But if we talk about latest version of Selenium, then we have only 3 components. We don't have this RC. RC is no more with Selenium, right? So RC was there with the version of Selenium that is called as 1.0, right? So what all versions? I mean, we have Selenium 1.0. What is the latest version of Selenium?
4.0.
Is 4 officially launched in the market?
No.
Yes.
Beta.
Yes.
Beta.
Few days back,
Candidate
4
release.
release candidate is launched, but the official product 4.0 is not yet out in the market. So we have Selenium 1, we have Selenium 2, which has gone up till the release 2.53.1. This was the last release. And then Selenium 3 came into the market, and the last release of 3 is 3.141.59, which is the current version. And then now we have Selenium 4, which started from the alpha version, then it has gone to the beta version, and now we have release candidate 1, which is launched a few days back itself. But still we don't have any 4.0 official version. There's still development going on in Selenium 4, but market right now, 90% of the market is using this 3.141.59. Whatever there was in 2 is already there in 3. Whatever there is in 3 is already there in 4. So if you are learning this as well, you just need to upgrade your version, and same things are going to work in 4 as well. Just there are some additional stuff that they have introduced in Selenium 4, which I have already recorded videos on it. But if they launch the 4.0, we're going to include some examples of Selenium 4 as well in this course, right? But I've already recorded something from the beta version, which you'll already find in the course, right? So these are all the components.
Rahul,
Yeah.
what is the major difference of 3 and 4?
3 and 4, there is a difference in the architecture that we'll be learning, but there are some additional functionality that they have added. They have changed the grid structure completely. Then they have added some additional relative locators as well, right? So these are some of the things which are added in Selenium 4, which was not there in Selenium 3. Rest, finding element, clicking on it, typing on it, everything remains same. Just you're going to get some new functionalities in Selenium 4 as well, right? So if time permits, then I'm going to show you some thing. If they like, because we have the release candidate already launched, so it may happen that in another few days they may gonna launch the 4.0 version officially as well, right? So if we have 4.0 successfully launched, then we're going to include some examples on the new features in the live training as well. But ultimately, whenever Selenium 4 is there, we'll be working always on the latest version. And since you'll be having the lifetime membership, you can again repeat it in the next batch and can learn the Selenium 4 features as well. Right? Okay, so which company came up with Selenium? Whose product is Selenium?
ThoughtWorks.
ThoughtWorks. ThoughtWorks is the one who started Selenium. Which company started QTP?
Mercury.
Mercury, true. And later on, HP has acquired it from Mercury, right?
And later Micro Focus, yeah.
Yeah. So there's a history behind this name Selenium. When ThoughtWorks came up with Selenium, like as we know that Selenium is the biggest competitor of QTP. So at that time, QTP was very popular in the industry, and Mercury was the owner of QTP. If we talk about Mercury in general terms, what exactly is Mercury? So Mercury
is a metal.
It's a metal. It's a poisonous element. Poison. Right. We have mercury in thermometers as well. Right. So there's a saying: if thermometer breaks and if we intake that mercury, then we'll not die. So
Selenium works antidote.
Yeah. So to save that person, we give him selenium. Selenium is basically an antidote to mercury, so that he may survive. That is the reason they have given this project name as Selenium. So to end the market of QTP Mercury. And up to such an extent, they are successful as well. Not just because of the cost, there are n number of reasons behind it, right? Selenium itself, if I talk about Selenium is not a tool. Like we have QTP. QTP is an automation tool, but Selenium is not a tool. If Selenium is not a tool, then what exactly Selenium is? I'm talking about tool. It's not a tool because if we talk about QTP, in QTP, we get a huge setup file, Normally QTP, RFT, UFT, we get a setup file like a desktop application. We double click on it, it gets installed on our machine, provide us a platform where we can do record and play, we can do scripting, right? We can use multiple features from that tool, drag and drop and all those functionality, but it is not like that in Selenium. You cannot install Selenium. You're not going to see any GUI of Selenium, right? You'll not see any desktop application, any web-based application which is called as Selenium. So if Selenium is not a tool, then what exactly is Selenium?
Can we say as library?
Library. So Abhilasha is saying Selenium is a jar file. See, Selenium is a jar file, that's true. But when you're working on Selenium with Java, if you work with C#, then Selenium is available in a form of a DLL file. If you work with Python, then it is installed via pip. If you are working with Ruby, then it is available in a form of a gem file. Similarly, PHP has its own binding. JavaScript has its own binding. So different languages, Selenium is available in a different part. But even if you download a jar file, you cannot install it. See, this is where we download Selenium. Which is the main website of Selenium?
Selenium.dev.
Selenium.dev, exactly. Selenium.dev. Initially, it was seleniumhq.org. Now they have changed their like .com, .org to .dev. So it's selenium.dev. So the very first thing on their website, you can see Selenium automate browsers. That's it, only for web-based testing. If you go to download part, you're going to see the latest stable version is 3.141.5. If you click on this, you're going to see one single jar file gets downloaded. That is 10 MB jar file. This is what Selenium. This is your open source project, open source jar file. We need not to pay anything to download it, and we need not to pay anything to work on it. Right? Once it get downloaded, it's not like you go to this location like where it is downloaded. If I go to downloads, this is the jar file, the 10 MB jar file. It's not like if I double click on it, it is going to install anything on my machine. It's not an installable file, right? This jar file consists of a lot of coding part, right? The project that the developers have created, they have added a lot of classes, a lot of functions, methods. They've written a lot of code. This jar file consists of that code. The code that they have already written and the code which we will be using to automate the functionality on a website. So there's something like, if I want to click on this icon using Selenium, so there is a function, a functionality available in this jar file. They've written a code for that functionality. Now we need not to write the entire code. We just need to call that function from this jar file and perform click on it. If I want to type anywhere, let's say there is no input box over here. Let's say if I want to type any URL or want to enter username and password. So I want to type. For typing as well, there is a functionality available inside this jar file. There's a function, there's a method which you need to call, and then that method will be performing type and type on a browser URL or on the username and a password field. Then you call click, it will gonna click on it, right? So step by step, you'll be calling all the functions, you'll be automating the website. But you need not to recreate those functions. You need not to rewrite the entire code. They have already created it. Their developers have already created it, and they have given you that code in a form of a jar file. So just download this jar file, include it in your project, and automate any website in the world you want. That is what Selenium is. So Selenium is not a tool. You cannot install it. It is collection of jar files or DLL files or gem files, right? We also call these things as libraries or set of libraries, right? Or we also call it as an API. So this is an API for our project. So whatever project we will be creating, we'll be adding Selenium API in our project. So what is API? What do you understand by the term API? This is again very important to know before we get started. What is an API?
It is an interface between the UI and backend.
UI and backend. Okay. So see, APIs are your web services as well, right? Like SOAP, REST. So the definition that you have given right now, it is related to front end and backend, right? That are web services. But web services are not the only APIs. The complete project is also called as an API, where the set of instructions are written. That instruction could be written in any programming language, right? Let's say written in Java as well. And we are calling those instructions in our project and automating our website. So API is not only related to web services, it's a complete project, right? So let's say I'm gonna take a very simple example. The same example I use in almost all my demo sessions. So it's a very simple example to understand. Let's say I'm a Java developer and I'm working with some xyz.com, right? Here I got a task that I need to design a calculator. Now in a calculator, there are various operations available. I can add something, I can subtract something, I can divide something, I can multiply something, and so on. Now, as a developer, when I'll be designing a calculator, I'll be creating a class. I'll be using some programming language, right? I'm a Java developer, so I'll be using Java only. So in Java, if I have to design calculator, I'll be creating a class with the name as calculator. Now, I believe every one of you must have heard about what a class is. Not if you are very new to programming, you might not be knowing it, but somewhere you must have heard that there is something called as a class, there is something called as a function or a method, right? Maybe during your graduation, right? So we'll be talking about very basic concept. Don't worry about the programming part. I'm not going to go in depth of programming today. But in order to make you understand what exactly Selenium is and how we will be working on Selenium, I need to write a little bit of code. So just bear with me for some time. Even if you're not able to understand the code, just try to understand the concept, right? Because what is a class, what is the method, what are functions, these things you'll be studying it from scratch from the next week once you start with the Java part, right? But today you need to understand what level of Java that is required. So don't worry about if you're finding it little hard to digest the programming part, but this is a very basic concept that I'm writing right now, right? So what do we have inside class? What we have inside class?
Methods, functions,
Methods,
constructor.
It's a group of similar objects having similar properties.
Great. Data members, variables, right? Data types, a lot of things are there, right? So if I talk about addition, subtraction, I'll be creating these things inside a class in a form of a function. Function and methods both are same, right? In JavaScript, in C#, we call them as functions. In Java, we call them as methods. Methods, functions, both are same thing. So even if I'm saying function, treat it as a method only, right? So in a function, in this addition function, I'll be writing some code so that whenever I call this addition function, it is going to add some numbers, right? Same way, after creating addition, I'll be creating a function, a method with the name subtraction. Then I'm going to create division. Inside this, I'm going to write some code. If I call division, it is going to divide some numbers. Same way, multiply, and so on. One by one, I'll be keep on creating all the functions which are required for calculator, right? Now, once all the functions are created, I need to test whether addition is working fine, whether subtraction is working fine or not. So what I need to do, I need to call this addition function, this addition method from this class. How to call a function from a class?
With the help of object.
With the help of object. What is the syntax to create
In
an
the
object?
main method.
Okay. What should correct?
Class name object equals to new class name.
So first class name, calculator. Then object.
Object.
Name.
What should I write?
Name new.
Directly
Or
new?
calc or calc. Whatever.
Calc. Okay.
Yeah, equal to new calculator.
New calculator. Okay, that's great. So this is a syntax. This is how we create an object of a class. Before I call any method from this class, before I call any function from this class, the very first thing that I need to do is to create an object of this class. And then only I can call these functions. And this is a syntax. This is a syntax how you create an object. Now, in this syntax as well, we have a lot of things which we'll be discussing about in depth, right? But before we come to that, just tell me how to call a method now. How to call a function?
You can call
Object dot add.
Yeah. Calc dot. Yeah.
Dot add. So if I run this much code only, it is going to do the addition part. If I've written some logic to add some numbers, if you run this, it is going to add those numbers. Similarly, if I want to call subtract, I'll say calc.subtract, calc.divide, calc.multiply. Just this. I need not to worry about this program. This I've already written. Now I want to execute that. This is how I'll be executing. So then it is going to do addition, subtraction, division, multiplication, whatever it is written inside the code, it is going to execute everything. But before we call these methods, we need to create an object. And this is how we create an object. Now, what is an object inside this statement? What is an object?
Sorry.
Is new an object?
It's a clear.
New is a keyword.
New is a keyword. New and then calculate.
Calc is the object.
That is
an object.
reference.
It's a copy of the class with empty value.
How about others?
Sorry.
How about others? Guys, I want everyone should participate.
You have the constructor. Sorry.
Object is a reference.
It's an object of the class.
Calci?
Yep.
Okay, so some people are saying new calculator is an object. Some people are saying calci is an object. What exactly is an object then? So what is this? What is this?
Calculator is a
Class name.
It's a class name.
It's class name.
Anything else that we call it as?
Constructor.
Calculator.
Constructor.
That is constructor. The right side calculator is constructor.
The left highlighted one. Is it also a constructor?
Class
So
name.
it's a class name.
Class name.
It's a type as well.
Yeah.
It's a data type, right? It's a type. And this thing?
Object name.
This is a object name, sir.
It's a variable.
Object.
Reference.
It's a variable. Reference. Okay, great. This is
Assignment.
Assignment operator. Correct. How about this?
This is a keyword.
Memory
This is a
allocation.
New operator.
Okay, great. This?
Constructor.
New
It's a
object of a class.
Great. So let us see, let's see, right now I've written the code in Notepad because previously people used to write code in Notepad, but now time have changed. There are many editors available in the market with artificial intelligence. If you're not good in coding, these editors helps us a lot while writing code, right? If you make any mistake, if there are hundreds of methods in a class, we need not to learn all those methods. We just put a dot, it give a suggestion that you can, here is a list, you can choose the methods from here. So some editors are open source, some are paid, right? There are very popular editors like IntelliJ is there, NetBeans is there, WebStorm is there, Eclipse is there. Eclipse is the most popular editor, very widely used in the industry, right? You can write Java code, C# code, Python code, JavaScript code. This editor supports almost all major programming languages, but we'll be using Eclipse for the Java part because Eclipse is widely used in the industry, right? And it's completely open source, no license required to work on Eclipse. So we'll be downloading Eclipse IDE, that is Integrated Development Environment, which is like a prerequisite to get started with Selenium. You need to have Eclipse on your machine. But there is a prerequisite before you download Eclipse, that is Java. You need to have Java on your machine. Java as in JDK, Java Development Kit. And the version that I would recommend you to download is 1.8. Don't download the latest Java, that is Java 16, because there are some integrations that we're going to do with Selenium. Some of those integrations might not be compatible with the latest Java 16 version. Java 1.8 is most stable version. Majorly companies are using 1.8 itself. In automation, Selenium, you'll see majorly people are working on 1.8. It's the most stable version, right? So we'll be using this JDK 1.8 itself. So how to get it, how to download it, it's very simple, very straightforward. These all are open source, no license required. Just simply go to Google, type download JDK 1.8. It may happen that you may have already installed Java on your machine. Sandeep, what about IntelliJ IDE? IntelliJ is also one of the same thing, like we have Eclipse, you can download IntelliJ. That is also another editor, and it is also popular in automation and even the development part. But majorly industry, you will see that they are using Eclipse. So IntelliJ you can also use. In case your organization is working using IntelliJ, then you can use the same stuff on IntelliJ, right? Programming and other part will gonna remain same. It's not like if we are writing a code for Eclipse, that code will not work on IntelliJ, right? These are just editors, right? Without even using these editors, you can run the same Java code, right? So go to this particular link, this particular page, and you'll be downloading Java from here. See, it is available for different operating system. You're using Linux, you'll be downloading it from here. You're using Mac, you'll be downloading it from here. You are on Windows, we have two things for Windows. One is for 64-bit, one is for 32-bit. So based on your OS, you need to download. Mine is 64-bit. I'll be downloading this one. So I've already downloaded it. I have kept it inside. Let's see where it is. Softwares and okay, I think I have removed the installer file. So you're just gonna get a exe file. So let me see if I already have it here. Let me search for it. Okay. I think I have removed it from my machine. So it's just a exe file. Once it gets downloaded, you just need to double click on it like a normal software. Double click on it, next, it gets installed on your machine. During the installation, once it is installed, it is going to generate some folders inside your C drive program files. You're going to see a folder of Java once your Java is installed. Open this and you're going to see two things. One is JDK, the other one is JRE. JDK stands for Java Development Kit and JRE is Java Runtime Environment. What are these two things? Don't worry about it right now. These things will be covered in the very first lecture of Java, right, from the next week. So for the time being, we need to configure Java in order to support other programs, because we'll be working on Selenium. For Selenium, the prerequisite is Java. We'll be using Eclipse. Eclipse, the prerequisite is Java. Later on, there are so many integrations we're going to do, like you must have heard about something called as Maven, something called as Jenkins, right? These are some of the things which are actually used in automation, Selenium. But before we implement any of these things, they all need Java on your machine. So for every tool, we cannot tell them that, okay, Java is at this location. Java is inside JDK, then bin, then this is Java. So whichever program that may need access of Java, explicitly will not be telling that Java is at this location. We will be configuring Java globally in our system environment variables, so that any program that may need access of Java can first look at that location, and if it finds Java, it is going to do further execution. So in order to do that, we need to configure Java in our system environment variables. And how to do that? Go to search and type edit. You're going to see edit the system environment variables. Click on this. And from here, click on environment variables. Now you'll see two things over here. One is your user variables. The other one is your system variables. You need not to do anything inside the user variable. You will be going to your system variable, click on new, give a variable name, a standard name that everyone uses, Java_home. And here you need to, in the value, you need to paste the path of your JDK folder. That is the root folder. Paste it. Click on OK. Once you click on OK, you'll find a variable created, which is holding the value of your JDK folder. Now go down and look for this path variable. Click on edit. You'll see a lot of things already configured over here. You need not to do any modification or deletion with these things, because these are your crucial settings. At times you are installing operating system. You can see system 32 files are also here. If you try to delete or modify it, it may hamper your existing running program or might corrupt your Windows as well. So just be very careful. Click on new. At the end, type %Java_home %. When you type this thing, %Java home %, it will bring this value over here. This value, C drive program file Java JDK. And then where is Java? Java is inside the bin folder over here. This is Java. So what you need to do is, after this, put a \, say bin. Then you'll go to the bin directory. Like I've already done it over here. I already did it here, so I'm not going to redo it. I'll just delete it. Click on OK. Click on OK. And your Java is successfully configured. So these are the steps that you have to follow in order to configure Java on your machine. Once it is
How to do
configured,
this in Mac?
there are different steps for Mac. In Mac, you need to create a bash profile or a Z profile, right? I'll send you those settings. You can send me an email for that, or else you can watch it from here. I've already covered this in the Selenium course, how to configure this on Mac as well. So there as well, you need to set up the environment variables, but you need to do it, see Selenium configuration on Mac OS X, configuring Java on Mac. Right?
Okay, I'll follow
Downloading
this
it.
link, Rahul. Yeah.
Just follow this,
Raj.
you should be able to do it.
Sure.
Okay, so once you do this, just type Java -version, and you should be able to see this version. If you see this, Java is successfully. It's globally configured. You can go to any location, type Java -version. You should be able to access Java from that version. Now, any program that you may install should be able to access Java globally, right? After installing Java, the next thing is we need an editor where we can write the Java code. So that will be using Eclipse. Simple step, download Eclipse. Eclipse. Yeah, go to this particular link, the very first link. Okay, so here you see the latest one, 2021-06. I'm using the latest version itself. Can you use Visual Studio as well? Visual Studio you can use, but I have not heard anyone using Visual Studio with Java. Visual Studio is not very popular with Java. Visual Studio code editor is there that we use for JavaScript majorly. But just see if your company requirement is this, then you can do that. Otherwise, don't use Visual Studio with Java. Okay, so go to download packages. And you can see a lot of packages over here. ID for Java developers, ID for enterprise, and C, C++, PHP. A lot of languages are supported. So the version that I would recommend you is this one. Based on your OS, 64-bit. I'm on 64-bit. By default, it is showing me 64-bit. If you're on 32-bit, it is going to show you 32-bit. Mac, Linux, all are available. Just go to this particular, and then you can download it from here. That's it. Right click on download or select a mirror which is near a mirror server which is near to your country, then you should be able to download it easily. It's somewhere around 300 MB file, but it is like you need to download it. You need to have a good connection. A normal connection would also work, right? So download this. Once it gets downloaded, it is getting downloaded in a form of a zip file. So I've already downloaded this. The zip file is over here. Go to just a moment. It's on my PC, D drive, software, and this is Eclipse. So once you extract the zip file, you're going to see Eclipse like this. I'm using the latest one, 2021-06. If I open this, there's a folder Eclipse. All these things you'll find. No installable file. We are not installing Eclipse. We just downloaded and extracted the zip file. That's it. This is the application. Double click on it and it will launch your Eclipse. Right? Nothing to install. But if you don't have if you have not installed Java on your machine, you're going to get an error over here itself. It will ask you to first install Java, then launch this application. And then you can see it is asking you to select a directory as a workspace. Now, workspace is basically a location where we maintain our project code. Any coding part we're going to do will be stored at some location in some project. That is what your workspace is. So I generally give the workspace name with a batch name. So I'm going to name this batch as batch Selenium September 2021 and click on launch. And this is going to launch my Eclipse IDE. So this is welcome screen, close it. And this is your Eclipse. Here you'll be creating your project, managing your project hierarchy, adding classes, adding interfaces, a lot of things you'll be doing. Here you'll be writing the code, and this area you're gonna see the output of the code that you've written, right? The print statements. So very first thing, we'll be creating a simple Java project. How? Click on create a project. From here, select Java project. Click on next. Give your project some name. Let's say I'm going to create a calculator. I'll name it as Calci project. Click on finish. And don't create this. Click on open. So this is a project that is created. A Calci project, a Java project. If you expand this, you're going to see two things. One is your GRE system library. So these are all your internal Java classes. Normally what happens if you are using any other editor like Notepad, people used to work on Notepad. So what happens is we need to include many header statements, many packages. Like you must have worked on C, C++. So while writing C, C++, you need to add something like include conio.h, include studio.h, right? Similarly, in Java, we need to import a lot of packages. Import java.util.star, java.math.random, and number of packages are there. So when we work on Notepad, we need to manually write and import all those things. But when you are using Eclipse, you need not to worry about it. Eclipse will be handling all these things automatically. All the internal Java classes are already mapped with your project. So this library consists of all the major Java classes. So you need not to worry about it. The internal import will be done automatically. This is the SRC folder. That is also called as a source folder. So all the coding, the source code will be written inside this. So here you will be creating your own class by right-clicking, say new, click on class. And here you will be giving a name. So it is asking you to, this is a template. It is asking you to give a name. Guys, Amit, there's a background noise from your end. Please mute yourself. Thank you. Okay, so here we need to give the class name. So class name, how are we going to give it? The audience view got changed. Just keep that. Anyways, okay. So class name, we are creating calculator. So I'll be what I did. I created calculator class over here, right? This is a calculator class. So I'll be giving the same name over here. So whenever you're giving a class name, there's a coding standard that we need to follow. Class name should always start from a capital letter, like calculator, capital C, right? Then you need to check this public static void main. Click on finish. And you'll see a sample code over here. Let me increase the font size. Now you see a lot of things over here. People who are looking at the programming part for the very first time might gonna get afraid while looking at this thing. But don't worry about it. All these things, each and every single thing will be covered in your Java session. What is public, what is class, what is static, what is void. All the Redis thing that you see over here are predefined keywords, the reserved keywords of Java. So what is public? What is private? What is protected? These are called as access specifiers, access modifiers. Then we have static, non-static. We have void, int, string as a return type to a method, to a function. This thing is called as a function, a method, default method of the class. Anything you need to execute should be written inside this method body. This is the body of this method. This is the body of this class, calculator class. This calculator is a class. This main is a method, right? Don't worry about what are these things right now. We'll be exploring all these things in the Java session. For the time being, as I said, anything I need to execute should be inside this main method. So if I want to print anything, let's say you must have worked on C. How to print in C? What we write when we need to print anything in C?
System.out.println.
C. I'm talking about the C language.
Printf.
Printf, exactly. How about C++?
Cout.
Cout.
Cout, true. And now Java.
System.out.println.
Right? The very first program of any programming language is to print hello world. right? Anything you write inside these double quotes will be printed. This is the run button. Just click on this and you're going to see hello world is printed, right? So very first program we have executed, it's working fine, but we are not here to print hello world. Now we were trying to understand that what is an API, right? So what I did as a Java developer, I started creating a calculator. Initially, I was doing it in a notepad. Now I have got an editor. So I can design this calculator over here. I can design all these functions over here. How to design these functions? I can simply go over here. The very first function, the very first method, I'll be creating it as add. This is the very first function. The very first method I've created. And method name always start from a small letter. See, Java, when Java automatically created this main method, you can see it is started with a small letter. Class name always started with a capital letter. There is something called as camel casing that will be following. Now, what camel casing is? Camel casing says, if let's say there is something, a word that is the dark night. So this is three words over here, which is combined all together, right? But they are three different words. It is not very readable. If I make it as a class name, I'm gonna start it with a capital letter. Then anything concatenating with this should be in caps. The dark night. If I make it as a method name, I'll start it with a small letter. Anything concatenating should be in caps. So this is method name. So this is what is called as camel casing. See, it is going like how we have camel, right? So this is called as camel casing. And it makes it very readable. Next time you read any, like the code of any Java developer, you're gonna come to know whether this is a class name or this is a method name. Because the entire industry follows the same coding pattern. Method name always starts with a small letter. Class name always starts from a capital letter. Anything joining should be in caps, right? So that's the reason we created class with a capital letter and method with a small letter. It's not like if I created with capital letter, it is going to throw me any error. It is still going to work, but this is not a better coding practice. For better coding practice, method name should always be in small letter. Now, I can write some code inside this addition method, which when I call this addition, it is going to add some numbers. Right now, we don't know programming, right? So what I'll do, instead of writing some code, I'm gonna print something. Print as in, I'm gonna write adding some numbers. So when you call this add, it is going to print adding some numbers. It is not going to add the numbers. It is just going to print adding some numbers. Once I'm done with this, I'll be creating other methods as well. So let's just copy paste. After add, I'm gonna write divide, then multiply, then subtract, right? So if you call divide, it is going to print dividing some numbers. This is going to print multiply some numbers. This is going to print subtract some numbers. So I've created all methods. Everything is created, right? Now I want to call this addition method. Where to call? Everything will be called inside this main method only. I'll go inside this and I now need to call this addition method. So how to call this addition method? We have just seen how we have called this addition method by creating an object of the calculator class. So I'll just copy this and paste it over here. And let's see if we get any error. See, we don't get any error. This is a correct statement. How? If I write calculators instead of calculator, see, I'm getting an error. because there is nothing called as calculators, right? We have a class called as calculator. We don't have a class called as calculators. That's the reason it has highlighted it in red color. If you move your mouse on top of it, Eclipse will give you a suggestion. Calculators cannot be resolved to a type. See, this thing is called as a type, right? Like a data type. This calculators is a type. So it is saying that it cannot be resolved. This is not correct. Either create a class as calculators or change it to calculators. So if I click on it, it changed to calculator. Now this is correct. Now, if you take this calc and if you say calc dot, you'll get list of all the methods you have created. See, you have created add, just call this, click on it, call it. Now click on run. We're gonna see adding some numbers executed. Same way, one by one, calc dot subtract, calc dot divide, calc dot multiply. You can call all these methods one by one and you'll see everything is executed. Right? Whatever that you have created, you can call it n number of times and that thing will be executed. You need not to recreate it again and again. Now there is one more method which is having the same name as of the class. What we call it as? What we call that thing which has a same name as of the class?
Constructor.
Constructor. In C++, we also have constructor, right? So what are constructors? What are constructors?
It's a type of a special method
To assign the values to a mandatory variable.
and no return type.
No return type. Exactly. See, I've written public void over here. I've not written public void over here. Right? No return type. What else?
To assign the values to the mandatory variables.
Mandatory variables. Okay. True.
To create an object.
Is constructor going to create an object?
No, when we just call the method, so automatically constructor will also execute.
Automatically constructor will also call. Okay. So let's say I'm saying that this is also a method, right? So I can write some code inside this constructor as well. I can write a code, let's say calling constructor. So let's call it, we have called addition, we have called division. How we have called it? Calc.add, calc.divide. Now I'll say calc.cal. I'm not getting this. See, calculator. This method is not coming. Why? Because this is not a method. This is not a method. How to call this? This will automatically get called as soon as you create an object of a class. See this statement, you're saying here we are creating object, right? And then we are calling method. Even if I don't call these methods, if I just create an object of a class, if I run this, the very first thing that you're going to see is the constructor. It called automatically. You need not to explicitly call it. As soon as you create an object, the very first thing that will be called is a constructor. Whenever you create an object. Now, let's come back to the same question that I asked. What is an object inside this statement? Many people said calc is an object. Let's say calc is an object. I'm going to remove the statement. This is still a valid statement. See, I'm not getting any error. It's still a valid statement. Now, if this is an object, if I run this, constructor should be called.
This is not an object.
This is not an object?
No.
So if I run this, whether the constructor will be called or not?
No.
Tell me.
No.
No? Is it not going to call the constructor?
No, we need to create an object, then only constructor will be called.
Okay.
This is
How
just
about
the
other?
We have to
Many
assign
people said this is an
new
object.
object.
Just a reference, it's not an object.
Okay, so it means if I click on
I
run,
hope
it
we
is
can still call. Yeah.
See. I'm clicking on run, nothing is happening. Constructor is not called, right? So this is not an object. Now what I'll do, I'll remove this. Still it is a valid statement. Now
Yes.
tell me.
It will be called now.
Yes, constructor will be called.
Constructor will be
Because
called.
object is getting created.
Let's run this, let's see. See, constructor is called, right? So it means this is where the object is created. The object is not calci. The object is always created whenever you say new calculator, right? What a constructor is, we are not going to cover that topic today because if we start covering that, then the people who are very new to programming might not able to understand it, right? So this is how, like when we do new calculator, the object is created and a constructor is called. But if this is an object, then what is the need of calci? Why do we write this? Why can't we just write this?
This is anonymous object.
Okay.
We are assigning a variable to this object. We are putting the reference of this object to the variable name calci.
If we write this,
Why
if we
that
write like
is
this,
called? To refer to methods?
Yeah.
Okay. So we need this calci. We need this calci so that I can call other methods of this class, like calci.add, calci.subtract, calci.multiply, and so on. It means if I don't have this calci, I'll not be able to call addition or subtraction or division or multiplication. Can I call addition now without having that calci?
yes.
Yes, yes.
Yes, you can.
But I can only call it once.
But how?
But only once.
Only once.
But only once. Okay, how?
Calculator dot
New calculator dot
Add.
Right? So if I run
Yes.
this, what happens? Calling constructor, adding. Both are called, right? What if I want to call division now?
we have to create a new object.
You have to create a new object.
Absolutely. So again, I'll be saying new calculator dot division, new calculator dot multiply, new calculator dot subtract. And if I run this, let's see what happens.
It will call constructor every time.
Every time a constructor is called and every time a new object is created. Calling constructor, calling constructor, calling constructor, calling constructor. Right? That is what I don't want. So if I have 100 methods, will I be creating 100 objects to call 100 methods? I'll not be doing like that, right? I want only one object to be created and all the methods should be referred from the same object reference. So what I did, I created a variable. Could be any name, ABCD, XYZ. Generally, we give it a meaningful name. So I've given a name as calci. Now, every variable in Java must have some data type or a type defined. And what type of variable it is, like what value it is holding. If I'm holding a value 100 in a variable value equal to 100, what type of value it is?
Integer.
Integer. So what should I write over here? The data type should be int. Can I write my name over here? Can I store my name like this?
No.
Right? Because now this is not an integer value, numeric value. This is a string value.
String.
The string has to be inside double quotes. And the data type should be
String.
String. See, if you mouse over, it will say that change the type of value to string. So you need to click on this and automatically it gets changed. Now you cannot store numbers over here. You cannot store number. It will again
finish it.
So whatever value that you are storing, the type should be according to that value.
Take.
Right? The type should be the same as the value is. Similarly, if I talk about string, integer, string. What is string in Java?
String is a class.
It's a class.
It's a class. Anything else? Anything else we call string? over here? String is just a class.
Data type.
Data type.
It's a data type as well, right? Integer, string, all these are data type, but string is a class as well. If you mouse over onto string, string itself will tell you that the string class. See, string is a class. If string is a class, then what value is? What value is?
Variable.
Reference variable.
Reference variable, right? Reference variable of this class. If you put value dot, you get access to all the methods of string class. See, all the method and string is written at the end. All these methods belong to string class. Similarly, when you are storing this value, you cannot store it inside string. You cannot store it inside int. It will throw you an error because the type should be the same which can hold this value, and that type will be of this class type. That's the reason this is a type. This is a variable, also called as a reference variable. This is an assignment operator. We are assigning this value to this variable. This is a keyword. This is a constructor. This whole things, we're going to create an object. And now when you say calc dot, you get access to all the methods in this class. One of the methods you call add, then you call subtract, then you call divide, then you call multiply. And when you run this, only and only one object will be called, and all the methods will be referred from the same object reference. So this is what the very basic concept, what a class is, what object is. Although theoretically, there are a lot more to understand what a class is, what objects are, right? How objects are created. All these things you're gonna study in the very first lecture of Core Java. But right now that thing is not required. So the purpose of explaining this is, now let's say as a developer, I have created a calculator, right? And I've written somewhere around 100 lines of code in addition method. So next time, if anyone wants to add something, subtract something, I want that he should not recreate the entire code. He can use the functions that I have created without rewriting the code. And I don't want to charge anything to him to use the project that I've created. So I will be launching this project as an open source project. Open source not only means that it is free. It is free, but open source means anyone can contribute into the development of this project as well. If next time any developer comes in, he likes my project and he want to contribute into this project, he said that okay, I really like your project. I want to include some some functionality for calculating square root, percentage, and number of other things. Then he is most welcome. It's an open source project. Anyone can contribute into the development part as well. And if anyone wants to access the functionality, then he need not to pay anything. He can do addition, division, multiplication without rewriting the entire code. So for that, I need to publish. I need to launch this project in the market. And how I will do it, since it's a Java project, I'll be right-clicking on my project, say export, select Java, select jar file. I'll be exporting this project in a form of a jar file. Click on next, give this jar file a name. First, I'll select the location, desktop. I'll name it as calculator version 1.0, the very first version of my project. Click on save, click on finish, click on OK. And if I go to desktop, it's generated where, see, this is the version 1, but this is not a jar file. I think the jar is not created. We need to add it with the extension jar. So export jar file, this dot jar. Click on finish, click on OK. And now you should be able to see the jar file. This is the jar file. Let me remove this. This is the jar file. No, it's nothing like if I double click on it, it is going to install calculator on my machine. It is not going to do any installation, right? With this, you're only going to come to know how many classes are there in this jar file, how many functions are there, methods are there. But if a developer has not given you a right to look at what is written inside addition, what is written inside division, you'll not be able to look at it. You'll only be able to call those functions and execute the functionality. Execute addition, division without rewriting the code with the help of this jar file. Now I have created this when I'm sitting in a different country and a person who is sitting in a different country want to use it. Let's say I'm in India and a person sitting in US. He want to do some addition division. So how he will get the access of this jar file? For that, what I did, I uploaded this jar file on my website because website can be accessed from any part of the world. So anyone can go to my website, download this jar file and access the addition division, all the functionality I've created. And then after doing this, after completing this project, I left this organization. So I'm going to close this project. So close project. Now I joined a new company, a new organization, again as a Java developer. This time I joined, let's say, American Express. So I joined MX project. Again, as a Java developer, I joined this company. They already have some functionality implemented in this project. I was hired in between of this project. They already have a class with a name, banking, and there were many methods. Let's add a main method first. There are many methods already created with a name, let's say public void profit. There's a method and public void loss. And number of methods were already implemented. I was hired in between of the project. They asked me to implement a functionality that would add salaries for n number of employees. So something related to, I need to create a method called as add over here. If I talk about the functionality of this addition method, let's assume this is similar to what I've created in my calculator project. Same thing I need to create over here as well. Now that was something like a 500 lines of code, very complex logic that I've written that point of time. Same thing I have to implement it over here. There are two ways. Either I should again recreate it, but it is going to take a lot of time. I can do it, but it is going to take me few days to complete it. But why to put that effort when it is already available in the form of a open source jar file, open source library? So what I did, Ayushi, please put yourself on mute. So what I did, I have gone to that website where the calculator project was implemented. I downloaded that jar file, and in this project, I right-clicked, gone to build path, add external archive, and I've selected this jar file. That's it. And I got access to the calculator class, to all the functions, all the methods, see addition, division. But I'm not able to look at the code inside addition. And I'm not worried about it, right? Because I need not to look at the coding part. I can simply call this addition. How? By creating an object of that class. I saying calculator, calc equal to new calculator. And I'm able to do it. I'm not getting any errors. My project is able to understand what calculator is with the help of this jar file. If this jar file is not there, if I remove it, then how will my project understand what is calculator? Because this is there in the third-party project, which I've added in my American Express project with the help of this jar file. And now all errors are gone. Now I can go inside this add. Let me change the name to add salary and call calc.add. That's it. I've implemented the entire functionality of addition. Without rewriting the code, I've taken it from the calculator class. Now, if you want to call this add salary, how to call this add salary? Add salary is inside the banking class. If you want to call any method from a class, you need to create an object of this class. So if you go over here, say banking B equal to new banking, and you do B dot add salary, if you run this, you're gonna see that same functionality, adding some numbers is called from the calculator class without rewriting the entire code with the help of this jar file. So if I talk about this jar file, this is what an API is. This is an API to to the American Express project. Calculator act as an API to the American Express project. And if you're talking about Selenium, Selenium is one of the same. Selenium is available in a form of a single jar file or multiple collection of jar files. If you want to automate some website, you need to go to this website, selenium.dev, and download this jar file, like we just downloaded it. And then right click on your project, build path, add external archive, go to downloads, and select the jar file, click on open. That's it. You've added the Selenium jar. Now you can automate any website through your project, through this project itself. Instead of banking, call the Selenium jars, Selenium classes, and automate any website. One of a class that you need to call is Chrome driver. Chrome driver equal to new Chrome driver. That's it. This class is there inside the Selenium jar file. Like calculator class was there in the calculator jar, Chrome driver class is there in the Selenium jar. Now, before I run, click on the run button, I'm going to add one additional stuff. What that stuff is, I'll be explaining about it in our tomorrow session. So let me add that stuff first. Some of you might be knowing there's a file called as Chrome driver exe. What that file is, I'll be explaining about this in the tomorrow session. Right, because we have a little time left. So I want to show you that just by creating an object of this Chrome driver class, what happens if I click on run button? See, if I click on run button, what it is going to do, it is going to launch a Chrome browser. And then when we have encountered some exception. What exception is this? We can fix it. This exception is based on the version of Chrome browser we are using. Only support, which was just a moment, version 91. Chrome driver only supports from version 91. So I think our Chrome browser is having a greater version. We'll go to settings. We'll go to about Chrome. We are having a 93 version. So corresponding to the 93 version, we need to go over here on Selenium Dev website. Just scroll little down, go to browser, go to Chrome. From here, go to the Chrome documentation, Chromium Chrome driver documentation. From here, look for this latest stable release 93. Go over here. Available for Windows, Mac. Windows is this. Download this one. Download. Open this. Extract it. So where it is, where I extracted this, let me see. Let me copy it and extract it on my desktop. Extract it. So see, this is the exe file we got. Now what I'll do, I'll go back to Eclipse and remove that exe that I've added. So delete it. It's not allowing me to do it. So what happens? We have already executed the program. So we need to terminate it from here as well. If you see something called as Chrome driver, just end this and now delete it. So this is still in use. And now delete it. So once we remove it, we should be able to copy the new one, the new file. Copy this. What this file is, don't worry about it right now, but we need it in our project. But ultimately, look at this part. We just created an object of Chrome driver class. We run it, and it is going to launch the Chrome browser for us. So let's wait for a few seconds to see if the Chrome shows up, and see the Chrome browser showed up. Without any errors, there are no errors, right? These are just messages. There are no errors, the information messages. But how come a browser launched? I just created an object of this class and a browser launched. When I created object of this class, then there was no browser launch. But how come by creating object, the browser is getting launched? So where they have written code to launch a browser, where the code is written, which is launching a browser?
Might be in constructor.
How about others?
In the Chrome driver jar file and in Selenium.
In the Chrome driver, we have not added any Chrome driver jar files. We have added this Selenium jar file. The code is written inside this jar file, right? The code that is written is for this class, Chrome driver class. So this Chrome driver class is there inside the jar file. We have called this class. So where inside this class, the code is written to launch a browser. So whosoever developer has created this class must have written some code inside this class, which is going to launch a browser. So where that code is written?
ChromeDriver.exe.
No, not in exe. Forget about this exe.
It's
just additional stuff. Why we required it, I'll explain you in tomorrow's session. Forget about this exe.
it's under Selenium. Sorry.
Inside where?
Selenium WebDriver.
Selenium WebDriver. What is Selenium WebDriver?
I mean, it could be inside the Selenium.
Yeah. Have we called any Selenium class over here?
No.
So we have
It's
called
a
Chrome
remote
driver
web
class.
driver.
We called that
Remote driver.
Chrome driver class.
We have not called any remote web driver. We have called Chrome driver class. So, okay, so we have called Chrome driver. Where it is written inside Chrome driver?
Probably inside a constructor in Chrome driver.
Exactly. We have not called any function. We have not called any method. Right? Whenever you create an object of a class, the very first thing that is called is a constructor. Even if you don't write this, if you just write this and run this, you're creating an object. As soon as the object is created, constructor is called. See? Constructor is calling the browser. The developer has written the code inside the constructor, like we have written a code inside calculator constructor. Whenever you create an object of calculator class, calculator constructor will be called, and calling constructor is printed. Similarly, whenever you create an object of Chrome driver, Selenium developers have created this class and they've written a code inside this class. That code could be of 100 lines. We are not worried about it. As an end user, we are using Selenium to automate the website. We are not developing Selenium. This Chrome driver class is already developed. We are just calling this class so that we can automate our website. So what we need to do, we need to create an object and then we need to create a reference like this. Why we need reference? Because we only need to create one object and then we can tidy up that and call other methods. So other method, like after launching a browser, what we need to do? We need to navigate to a website. So we'll say driver.get. It is asking me to enter a URL, string URL. URL in string format means double quote. URL I'm going to give https www.way2automation.com. Save this, run this, and you're going to see again a browser is going to launch and it's going to navigate to way2automation.com. Right? And now I can keep on calling the methods one by one and I can automate my entire website. So that's what your Selenium is. Selenium is not a tool. We have not installed Selenium. The only prerequisite is you need to have Java, JDK, you need to have Eclipse, and you need to have one single jar file. That's it. That is this jar file. And you can now automate any website, build up in any platform, any language. That's what Selenium is. And it's very easy to work on Selenium. Right? So right now, we are already done with 2 hours of a session, right? But there are still so many things to cover, all the integration, all these things we need to look. There are different integrations like Maven, Jenkins, POI, JDBC, Mail API, Log4j, a lot of things that we integrate with Selenium. So those are the things that we're going to discuss about it in our tomorrow session. For today, we're going to keep it up till this much. We have seen the configuration of Selenium, how we're going to get started. There is nothing that we need to install, no exe file for Selenium, no GUI application, just a couple of lines of code you need to write. And in order to write this code, you need to be good in Java. You need to be clear with your core Java basics. There is no advanced Java in this. It's just creating an object, calling the methods. Right? One by one, keep on calling the methods and your website will be automated. And these things are already developed. You're not developing Chrome driver class. You're not developing get method. But even in order to call this method, you should be knowing that this is a class, this is a reference, this is a constructor, this is a method. These are the basic concepts that you should be clear with. And these are the things that you will be knowing in the core Java sessions. Right? So we're going to leave it up till here for today, so that you should not get bored. I hope you've not got bored. So you must have enjoyed today's session, right? So we're gonna go it in the same pace for our upcoming sessions as well, right? And I'll try to upload our today's recording very soon, and we'll be sharing it with you. And tomorrow we are going to meet at the same time. Same meeting invite that you have joined on today. We're going to work for tomorrow's session as well, right? So from the next weekend onwards, I'll be creating a WhatsApp group for the new batch starting with the core Java, and then the new meeting invites will be shared with you. Same meeting invites are going to work throughout your core Java session. And once your core Java is done, you'll be moving to the Selenium part.
I have
And
one
for the
quick
people,
question.
yeah.
I have installed the Eclipse, but I'm facing Java heap error while opening any class, and it is closing my Eclipse.
Okay, so just forward me that. Okay, just note down my mail ID, or instead of noting down the mail ID, it is given on the website itself. If you go to waytoautomation.com, on the home page, you'll find on all the pages you're going to find this mail ID. So these are my direct contact information. This is on WhatsApp as well. So if you face any issues related to any configuration installation part, just take a screenshot of that, and like the detailed error message that you're facing, just paste it in an email or in the WhatsApp and send it to me. And
Okay,
just
thank you.
mention that what version of JDK you have, what Eclipse version you have, because these are things which will help me in troubleshooting.
Okay,
And
okay,
then
thank you so
help
much.
All
Okay.
right, sure. Mail ID is this, trainer@waytoautomation.com. Just send it on this.
Okay.
Yes, Sujita. Sujita, you have a question with respect to the video library? Yeah, please ask.
Sir, in the video library I was going through, so there was like, I am little confused with the order it is given. So I was like previously having the classes, initial classes, and then it was there was some description about the APIs and all. So in detail it was, so I skipped that actually. So I was not very clear whether I have to like go through with the same pace it is defined, or I can skip anything, because in
See, if you are comfortable with the Java part, let's say you can skip that in the library. If you know something, you can skip that. Rest you can follow in the same pace. So all the Selenium videos from the live sessions will be added, will be hosted on this particular course. So you need to click on this, and since it's a huge library, covers the previous batches as well. So I have added all the recent batches at the end. So you just need to scroll to the end, and here you'll find this is the batch which is done with the Java part, now starting with the Selenium. So Selenium today's session will be added over here. So same way for the new people who are joining, starting from Java. After this batch, you're going to see the batch September 2021, and your Java part will be added over here. In case you want to refer the previous batch, you can see 14 days, 7 weeks for Selenium, and then 6 weeks over here for Java. This was batch May 2021, right? So this is how you'll be finding your batch recordings, plus all the code I'll be uploading. Whatever that we are writing will be uploaded to the portal. You can simply click on it and download the code, import it in your Eclipse. Right, so all the core Java, yes, Sandeep, all the latest core Java lectures will also be uploaded in the same section. So this is for the online training. Rest there are different sections where you'll find just the Selenium recording, just the Java recording as well. Right, but all the live training recording from Selenium Java will be added over here.
Actually, sir, I was talking about the videos which is not live classes, which is like 7 minutes, 8 minutes, 9 minutes, like that.
Okay, so you're talking about the in module wise recording that I did.
Yes.
So this is the one that you are looking at.
Actually, before class, I was thinking of going through with some of those videos. So
Yeah, you can go through these as well, or if you go through the live batch recording, which is like the very recent one, so you can follow the same pace, and after that you can follow these modules, because these are like over 100 hours of recordings. So it covers almost everything that you need. So I keep on adding new lectures as well. So you'll find lectures related to Selenium 4 as well. Many things, extent reporting, and many other part as well added over here.
Thank you, sir.
The latest Selenium 4.
Hey
Right.
Rahul, since we are in here, can I ask you one question about BDD? Do we have any BDD card for the latest version? Latest classes?
BDD latest one, like the latest version is Cucumber 6. So I recently, I know, I mean, the Cucumber that I've added over here has got a previous version, but most of the things works. You need to update the jar file, and I've added a latest 6.x API as well over here. So this is the latest Cucumber framework code that you need to download. I've also added a video for it, how to use the latest dependency, and rest of the lectures will gonna work same way. In case you face any issues, because Cucumber is something, their versions keep on changing every now and then, right? So like initially there was a major change when Cucumber 4 came, then Cucumber 5 came, then Cucumber 6 came, and very soon you're gonna see Cucumber 7 as well. So at times it is very difficult to re-record the lecture again and again. So I've updated like 90% of the stuff, the code that is written remains the same. If you know the basic funda of Cucumber, of BDD, then you should be able to upgrade to the latest version on your own as well. And in case if
Yeah.
you're stuck anywhere, then I'll help you in that.
Yes, I'm having a issue with the CLI main method for the Cucumber framework, which I developed. That's where I
That is
stuck.
because you might have added the latest jar file, the latest dependency, but you are still using the old packages of cube.info. It has to be with the latest cucumber.io packages. So
Yeah,
that
I
you
have added that too. Yep.
okay. So in that case, you just need to zip your project, upload it on Google Drive, and send it to me. I'll download it and troubleshoot at my end and fix it and send it to you.
Okay. But thing is, it's my office thing.
Just copy those dependency, create a separate project, a simple project, and see if it is working there or not.
Okay, sure. Thank you.
All right. So thanks a lot, guys. Hope you have enjoyed the session. We'll meet tomorrow, same time. And then if you have other questions, other things related to the training, we can discuss it tomorrow. Thank you all. Thanks a lot for joining in.
Rahul, I
Thank
have
you.
to you.
Yeah.
Will we be you will complete covering any project work here, any
Yes.
real-time assignment?
Yes, we will be doing it. We'll be automating real website. We'll be building up frameworks from the scratch. So those are the things I'll be explaining in that tomorrow session.
Okay. Okay. And one more thing, actually, I joined lately. I just forgot about this training. Is it chargeable, your training and all this?
See, this is like it's a one-time membership that you need to enroll for, which
Okay.
is called as a lifetime membership.
Mhm.
And then you should be able to attend all our live trainings, not just Selenium Java. You can attend Selenium Python, DevOps. All these courses will be free for you for lifetime.
Okay.
So just a one-time lifetime membership you need to take, and then you should be able to access the complete video library as well, all the 20+ automation courses. And then you should be able to attend the live training from DevOps, manual testing, JMeter, Selenium, Java, Python, etc. So a lot of things are there. This is like one of the unique package,
Okay. Okay.
right? So just go through this page. I mean, go to Way to Automation and go to this lifetime membership for
Okay.
more details.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah. Yep. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Sure. Thank you all. Thanks for your comments, and we'll meet tomorrow. Thank you all.